As some of you know, one of my favorite activities is surfing. So one day, I was sitting out in the water on my surfboard, waiting for Neptune to send me a righteous wave. Yeah. I was reflecting on hunger. Not my hunger that I was going to have after my 2-hour session, but hunger in the world. And I remember a friend of mine once said, "There's enough food in the world, Dave. The problem isn't quantity, it's distribution." So I was thinking, is that really true? And then a seal's head popped up out of the water, and it looks at me. You ever notice how a seal's face looks like a poodle's? That's what I was noticing. And the seal said, "Yeah, it's true." I'm looking at the seal going, huh. And then a dolphin pops up and rolls over on its back. I said, "Well, what's true?" And the dolphin said, "People don't have to go without food." I looked at him. I said, "That's amazing. You can read my mind?" And they both look at me and say, "The mind reading's easy. It's the speaking that's difficult because of our physiology." You're right. It's amazing how clear your enunciation and elocution is. "Thank you," said the seal. "But let's return to your original thought, Dave. What about hunger? Why are you a left-leaning libertarian who believes in the efficiency of the invisible hand of a free market as the best allocator of resources?" chortled the dolphin. I said, "I see, my fellow seaborne mammals. You are familiar with Adam Smith, an inquiry into the nature and causes of the wealth of nations. But did you know he also wrote another book called The Theory of Moral Sentiments, which in fact the Premier of China keeps by his bedside and reads every night? And in this theory, it holds, Adam Smith contends, that human morality depends on sympathy between the individual and members of society. Or, as one of the founders of PATH, People Assisting the Homeless in Los Angeles, said to me, as to why she supports the organization and works there, "But for the grace of God, there go I." It seems morally wrong to me that we've achieved this ability to produce so much, and yet so many people have so little. Just in Ventura County, 12.9% of the population, over 100,000 people, go hungry. 45,000 of them are children. That's almost the entire population of Thousand Oaks. For me, it's personal. I have been poor. I didn't have money to buy food. I was 30 pounds lighter than I am now. I persevered, I succeeded, and as my granddaughter say, I have a big belly. They asked me why I have a big belly. I said, that's where I keep my food. Being poor is like being in prison without bars. You can see how other people are living, what they're doing, what they have to eat, what they're wearing, but you can't partake. You sleep on the ground. A big meal in those days, Burger King would have Whoppers for sale for $1. That was my main meal. And if I felt really rich, I'd splurge and spend 25 cents for that slice of cheese. I was pretty sure that was the most expensive slice of cheese in the United States of America. They were making money on that one. It's even worse if you have children. I was taking my daughter through the drive-in at Taco Bell. I was getting her dinner, and she asked for one little more thing, $1. That's all it costs. I said, I can't do that. I don't have $1 more. She looked at me, and she said, "You don't have $1 more?" And that hurt. That did hurt. But what she did next, and she didn't mean to, but it hurt. It drove it deeper. She looked at me. I looked in her eyes. They went from angry to kind. And she touched my forearm. And she said, "That's okay, Dad." And I'll never forget her kindness. Denise Cortez just recently shared some stories from her experience. She also told me about Paul, I made his name up, 65-year-old Jewish man from Thousand Oaks who was an only child. He was successful as a mortgage broker for several years. He lived with his parents and was their caregiver until they passed. After they passed, we got hit with the terrible financial crisis of 2007, and his work came to a screeching halt. He held on to his parents' home as long as he could, but eventually lost the house. With no job and no home, he put his belongings in storage and lived in his car. He was soon diagnosed with cancer and had 6 bouts of chemo. After 3 long years of homelessness, cancer, and tremendous loneliness, this lovely man is now housed at many mansions. Thanks to the help he received from various social services, he is off the streets and cared for. Many Mansions was started by Frank Schillo, an insurance agent, and 25 other people from Thousand Oaks. Many Mansions develops and provides quality, affordable housing and life-enriching services for low-income individuals and families living in Ventura and Los Angeles counties, with special focus on those of very low income who were formerly homeless, seniors, veterans, or disabled. Many Mansions currently owns and manages over 500 units of affordable housing. They serve approximately 1,200 adults and 300 children. They provide on-site services and programs that include job training, case management, homework, tutoring, a teen club, and much more. Homelessness and poverty is not something that happens to other people. It's something that can affect any one of us at any time. Our congregation works on alleviating hunger and has for a long time through Feeding Hands, contributions to Manna, Lutheran Social Services, the Crop Walk. For a few months now, I've been attending the Conejo Valley Interfaith Association with Reverend Nika. We're participating in launching their Hunger Initiative Committee so that we can discern the needs in our own communities around poverty, hunger, and help those in need. The committee is proposing to the Conejo Valley Interfaith Association to change their mission slightly and include serving the community. We hope that by working together, we can do more and touch more people's lives in our own communities. One proposal by the committee is an education event for the Conejo Valley community, put on and produced and attended by all faith organizations. Another proposal is a day of services for the homeless and the poor. Services such as Social Security, counseling, outdoor portable showers, meals, barber and beautician services, clothing, and other help. By working together, we can do more for those in need in our community. One of the goals of the United Nations is to eliminate hunger in the world by 2030. What if we join hands to eliminate hunger in the Conejo Valley by 2030? Manna helps as many as 1,400 people per month. Denise has told us how many people her organization is helping here every day. What can we do to support and expand these services with these organizations? John the Baptist, he was a Jewish prophet. He said, anyone who has 2 shirts should give one to a person with none. Anyone with food should do the same, give to a person with none. That was during a severe economic time in the Roman colony of Judea. Buddhism states wealth itself is not the problem, as long as it is attained by honest means and used for the benefit of the wider society. Buddhism also advocates compassionate giving to the poor and the sick as a virtue in its own right. According to one account, Buddha walked 30 miles to provide spiritual learning to a poor person. Before he gave any spiritual learning, he insisted that the poor person was fed. In Islam, God says to man, I asked you for food and you refused me. Man says to God, how should I feed you? You are Lord of the universe. God says, did you not know my servant who appeared to you as a fellow human being? and asked you for food, and you refused to feed a hungry person? Did you know that had you fed my servant, your fellow human being, you would have found the reward for feeding my servant with me? Again, in Islam, we must work hard to feed the poor and needy as well as our neighbors, and collaborate with our families and friends to do so. In Judaism, a rabbinic story, group of peoples traveling in a boat. Open boat, way out in the water. One guy pulls out a drill and starts drilling under his seat. Everybody else is like, "What are you doing? The boat's going to flood." He goes, "Hey, it's my seat. What's the problem?" Example here, one person's bad actions, destructive actions, can bring down the entire community. The inverse is also true. One person's good actions can lift the entire community. In Christianity, Matthew 25, 34 to 40 says, "The king will say to those on his right, 'I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, you took me into your home. I needed clothes, you gave me something to wear. I was sick, and you took care of me. I was in prison, and you visited me.' Then the people who have God's approval will reply to him, 'Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or see you thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you as a stranger and take you into our homes, or see you in need of clothes and give you something to wear? When did we see you sick or in prison and visit you?' The king will answer them, 'I guarantee you this truth. Whatever you did for one of my brothers or sisters, no matter how unimportant they seemed, you did for me.'" In Hinduism, Hindu scriptures affirm that transcending selfishness is an important virtue, and serving humanity is equal to serving God. Todd Hess told me about his experience in India. There's a Sikh temple in India where they feed 1 million people a day. How about some secular arguments for feeding the hungry? For all my science friends here. In 2013, a study found that home-delivered meals for seniors improved their diet quality and increased nutrient intakes. The effects of reduced food insecurity and nutritional risks alleviated, plus increased socialization, resulted in lower need for nursing homes. That resulted in a savings to our economy, a net savings of about $34 billion a year. Alex Piquero, a co-author of a recent study published in the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health, found that people who reported frequent hunger and thus a lack of nutrition as a child were more prone to violent acts in adulthood. Here are 5 reasons to care about stopping hunger worldwide. According to the UN, 790 million people suffer from hunger and lack regular access to adequate food. We can make a difference. The proportion of undernourished people declined from 15% in 2000-2002 to 11% in 2014-2016. We have a right to food. Article 25 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights of 1948 states that everyone has the right to a standard of living adequate for health and well-being of himself and his family, including food. Hunger and malnutrition have a ripple effect that slows development. According to WFP, not only do the consequences of not enough or the wrong food cause suffering and poor health, they also slow progress in many areas of development, like education and employment. Sustainability Development Goal 2, adopted by the world in 2015, sets a goal to end hunger in all its forms by 2030, to ensure that everyone everywhere can lead a healthy life. We all have a role to play in achieving this goal. The seal looks at me. So, seems many groups throughout human history recognize the need to feed the hungry. The dolphin with the usual smile said, "Why are so many going without food, Dave?" Well, my guess, my aquatic friends, is we haven't decided to put an end to hunger. If enough of us would make that decision, if enough of us would spend what resources we have, we can change it. We can end hunger in the Conejo Valley by 2030. We just must be willing to make it happen. With that, my talking cetacean and pinniped said, "Good luck, Dave. We'll check back with you, see how it's going." I said, "Thanks. I'm a believer in human goodness. I believe we have the means, the desire, and the will. It's part of our universalist beliefs that none of us thrive if we don't all thrive. We can make this happen. I invite us to inform ourselves about the issues, to assess the need, and see how we might make a difference. What would it take for you to help eradicate hunger in our area? I hope all of you here today will join me and the many others working on ending hunger as you are able. Let's end hunger in the Canal Valley by 2030. May it be so."